Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott Selections here for Friday, June 14th. Before we get into the play of the day, we'll quickly recap what happened yesterday. We picked up a very nice and easy win for once with the Arizona Diamondbacks on the money line against the Washington Nationals. Greinke was fantastic, and the Nationals were shut out for the entire game. It got a little bit dicey late because of the potential rain-shortened game option, as there was a rain delay for about an hour in the eighth inning. But they ended up finishing up the game, and the Nationals still couldn't score. Greinke's been absolutely phenomenal. That line made no sense to me, and the Nationals continue to be plagued by inconsistency as Arizona remains one of the hottest teams in baseball. So a nice win there. We are going to be sticking with MLB, but we're also going to quickly discuss the NBA Finals. Yesterday, I did give out a lean to the to the under and to the Raptors on the money line and the plus 2.5. We won 2 out of 3 of those as we ended up losing with the under, as that game was just full of pace and there wasn't really anything you could do about it. But the Raptors did win. They held on for the money line, nice plus price, and they did cover the spread naturally since they won the game outright. Definitely a very entertaining finals. Funny how people were worried, or some people mentioned the narrative that the NBA Finals wouldn't be interested, or the playoffs itself wouldn't be interesting without LeBron. But in my opinion, I thought that was one of the more interesting NBA Finals in recent memory, and it was extremely entertaining. Props to Toronto, and props to Kawhi Leonard for in a single season with Toronto, pretty much becoming the greatest Toronto Raptor to ever live. So props to them. Props to Kyle Lowry for also shedding his label of being a choker in the playoffs, as he was absolutely remarkable with 15 first quarter points, and he ended up having a double-double. So NBA season's finally over. The NHL season's finally over, which means we have baseball, golf in the U.S. Open, and yeah, we got some women's basketball and some Canadian football. So, yeah, very, very stacked sports card that we got coming up for the next couple of days. But sarcasm aside, we're actually going to dive into the play of the day here, and we are going to be taking the Milwaukee Brewers minus 1.5, which is available at plus 120 on 5 dimes against the San Francisco Giants. That game is supposed to have first pitch at roughly 10:15. It's a matchup between two extremely unequal pitchers, as you end up having Zach Davies going for the Brewers, and you have Zach Davies going for the Brewers, and you have Drew Pomeranz going for the Giants. Pomeranz was solid in his last start, but he is 1-6 this season with a 7.16 ERA, and he's been awful against the Brewers in his career. He's also been terrible at home this season, terrible in night games. He's pretty much been awful wherever he's gone this season, with the exception of his last game against the Dodgers. But overall, he's going to be going up against Zach Davies, and Davies has been an NL Cy Young, a sleeper NL Cy Young candidate, as he is currently 7-0 with a 2.41 ERA. I know the Giants have played a little bit better lately, but they have struggled tremendously at home. They're 7 games under 500 at home with the Giants. Brewers are 10 games over, only 1 game over away from home. But with Davies on the mound, who has pretty solid numbers against the Giants, they're not as solid as, like an ace per se against the Giants. But at the same point, his numbers are significantly better against the Giants than Pomeranz's numbers are against the Brewers. And Davies has also been tremendous on the road this season statistically, as he is currently 3-0 with a 1.88 ERA away from home. And he's also 2-0 with a 1.36 ERA in night games. So I definitely think the Brewers have the pitching advantage. I know this might sound cliched, but I really like the way the Brewers have been playing lately. They have won 5 of their last 6. They did have a nice 3 extra innings win against the Astros a couple days ago before having a day off yesterday. I just like the way the Brewers are playing. Yelich has done well, but it's mostly been Moustakas in the last week or so, who's absolutely just been raking at the plate. He's been great. Grandal's been solid. Braun's been solid. Kane's a solid player. I just like the Brewers team. I think the Brewers have the better lineup. I think the Brewers have the better pitching. I know that statistically the Giants have the better bullpen, but you could take the Brewers minus a half in the first 5 if you are afraid of the Brewers bullpen, but I think there is more value on the plus 120. And I also just simply like the Brewers winning this full game by multiple runs. I do like Hader's ability to close the game late, and I think that Milwaukee should be able to get this job done, as they have done well against the Giants historically. I believe as I look through the recent trends, the Brewers have won 6 of the last 7 meetings against the Giants, But the main reason why some money, a small amount of money, is poured in on San Francisco is because of the fact that the Brewers have struggled historically in San Francisco. They are currently 5-12 in their last 17 meetings. But that's a large sample size. Giants are awful, and I do like the way the Brewers have been playing, as they have tried to climb back in to first place in the AL Central, in the NL Central, and they're currently one game up on the Cubs. So for me, the play of the day will be on the Milwaukee Brewers, money minus 1.5 at plus 120 on 5 dimes. I think there's a lot of value. I think it should be a roughly plus 105. So that will be the play of the day. Now to give the rest of the baseball leans today. First game we're going to be talking about is between the Diamondbacks and the Nationals. I still lean to the Diamondbacks here. I know that it's Ray versus Scherzer, and Scherzer's great. There's no way that I'd back the Nationals at a minus 175 price. If Scherzer gives you 7 innings, then you might be up after 7 innings, but the Nationals' bullpen's still terrible, and Robbie Ray is still a fully capable starter, and the Diamondbacks have the better lineup at this point in time. If you want to take the Nationals, I'd recommend taking them either minus 0.5 on the first 5 or money line in the first 5. Would I personally bet that? No. But if you are convinced on betting on Scherzer today, then you should look to the first 5, as the Nationals' bullpen is pretty much a gas can that can burst into flames at any moment. So that is definitely not worth the risk. Moving on, you have the Orioles versus the Red Sox with Rodriguez versus Ortiz. It's in Camden. I lean to the over 9.5, which is available at Bovada. Simply put, Orioles can't pitch. Red Sox bullpen's been terrible, and both the lineups have been okay lately. Red Sox lineup has been pretty solid. So for me, I'll lean to the over 9.5. I think both pitchers will struggle in Camden, and I think both teams have below average bullpens that should also give up a couple of runs. Moving on, you have the Indians versus the Tigers with Plutko versus Carpenter. I lean to the Indians here. They've been the better team lately, and Carpenter has been extremely inconsistent, and I simply don't like him in the spot. Plutko was good in his last start against the Yankees. At minus 160, I think the price is decent. Per se, money's coming on the Indians, but I think that makes sense. I'll lean to the Indians on that one. Moving on, you have the Angels versus the Rays. Still leaning to the Rays. I know that Ohtani ended up hitting for the cycle last night. Doesn't change the fact that Blake Snell's on the mound against Heaney. Heaney's pretty good, but Snell is the defending AL Cy Young Award winner. Great pitcher. Rays have been solid. They've been struggling a little bit lately, but I still like the way that they've been playing, so I'll lean to the Rays on that one. Moving on, you have the Marlins versus the Pirates with Richards versus Brault. I will lean to the Pirates on that one. Richards has been solid this season. Brault's been inconsistent, but I definitely like the way that the Pirates lineup has performed over the last week or so. They ended up losing the series to the Braves, but the Braves have been rolling, and the Pirates' offense was great. It was the pitching that was struggling. So for me, I'll lean to Pittsburgh on that one. I think they'll score at least 4 runs in that game, so I'll lean to Pittsburgh. Moving on, you have the Reds versus the Rangers with Molly versus Chavez. I lean to the over 9.5 there. I know the Reds' lineup has been inconsistent, but Molly's been pretty good, not amazing. It's in Great American Ballpark, so there should be a decent amount of runs, and Chavez has been awful, so I'll lean to the over there. Moving on, you have the Cardinals versus the Mets with Ponce de Leon versus Mats. I will lean to the under 8.5 there. Ponce de Leon has only been in the majors for a small period of time. In previous seasons, he almost threw a no-hitter in his first start about a year or two ago. But he actually has decent stuff. I actually like him as a pitcher. Mats has been inconsistent, but overall has been pretty solid. And I definitely think this game will generate less than 8.5 runs. So I will lean to the under on that one. Moving on, you have the Phillies versus the Braves with Pivetta versus Fried. I lean to the Braves on the money line there. Simply put, Braves, the lineup has been rolling. I believe they scored 6 runs in each of their last 4 or 5 games or so. I'm not getting in their way. I don't like Pivetta. I know he was decent in his last start, but I will lean to the Braves on that one. Moving on, you have the Twins versus the Royals with Gibson versus Keller. I lean to the over 10 there. Twins' lineup's been cooking. I personally had some money on the over yesterday in that game, and the Twins scored 10 runs, so they ended up going over. Keller has not been great. Gibson has the ability to get roughed up. I'll lean to the over there. Moving on, you have the Yankees versus the White Sox. The Yankees choked a 4-run lead early yesterday, ended up losing 5-4. Lean to the White Sox here. They've still been playing very solidly lately, and Giolito is probably the favorite for the AL Cy Young Award winner. For the AL Cy Young Award at this point in time, where Sabathia is definitely well past his prime and is inconsistent. Lean to the White Sox there. I think you're getting a very good price on the White Sox as a dog here if you want to take that at roughly plus 102. Moving on, you have the Astros versus the Blue Jays. I will lean to the over 8 there. Sanchez and Cole have been pretty good this season, but I've mentioned in the past I like taking overs with Cole because of the fact that he is a very solid strikeout pitcher, but he tends to miss his spots, which could allow him to get burned for a couple home runs. And That's what happened to him this season. He has a 5-5 record. Not that great ERA. I think 8's too low of a total. Lean to the over there. Moving on, you have the Rockies versus the Padres. Totals at a rare 12.5, and you have the Rockies at currently a -121 favorite. I lean to the Rockies and the over. I think this over is very high for a reason. Quantrill's isn't great. Hoffman's terrible. I'll lean to the over 12.5. Moving on, you have Oakland versus Seattle. Lean to Oakland there. Bassitt's been pretty good this season. Marco Gonzalez has been good for the beginning of the season, struggled lately, and I like the way that the A's have been playing lately. So I will lean to the over, and I will lean to the A's on that one. Moving on, you have the Cubs and the Dodgers. I lean to the under 8 with Hendricks and Hill on the mound. I know that yesterday's game ended up going over for a Lester and Kershaw battle, but Hill's been great this season. Hendricks has looked really solid lately, so I will lean to the under 8. And last game, I already mentioned the play of the day with the Brewers. Quick reminder of our sponsor, though, PointsBet, online sportsbook in New Jersey, couple of great deals. They have up to 2 risk-free bets of up to $1,000. So if you end up losing any of your bets, you end up getting your money back, which is definitely a great deal. As for the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals, those have actually ended. But they had the NBA deal would have applied yesterday if you had Warriors money line, as they allowed you to take a money line bet in basketball and cash it if your team was up after the third quarter. The Warriors were actually up after the third quarter yesterday before blowing the lead in the fourth. So you would have won, and while everybody else's Warrior money line tickets would have been shredded, you would have actually been able to cash it. So one of the perks of PointsBet, I will be linking that in the description below. But the play of the day will be on the Milwaukee Brewers, -1.5 against the San Francisco Giants, which is available at +120 on 5 dimes. With that being said, that's going to do it for this installment of Scott Selections here for Friday, June 14th. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.